We recently heard that France is preparing for a constitutional amendment that will end birth citizenship in its African territory of Mayotte. This has caused controversies and protests as people believe they are being deprived of their rights. However, others support the decision. French President Emmanuel Macron appears to distance his country away from its African territory, ensuring that people there do not have French citizenship but are controlled by France. But for many, this is confusing. How come France still has an African territory under its control? And what is it changing now? How will the end of birth citizenship change things for people living in Mayotte? And whether this decision will benefit France more? Let's try to understand everything in this video. First, let's know what has happened. Recently, France unveiled a controversial proposal to amend the constitution, limiting citizenship to individuals born to immigrants in the overseas territory of Mayotte. On Sunday, French Interior Minister Gerald Darmanin declared that children of immigrants born in Mayotte, comprising 2 islands, would no longer automatically receive French citizenship. The decision follows weeks of demonstrations in Mayotte, where deteriorating living conditions are attributed to immigration from the nearby impoverished Comoro Islands. People living in the Comoro Islands immigrate illegally to Mayotte and give birth, resulting in their children getting French citizenship. Afterward, these children can use French citizenship to settle in France because, legally, they are French citizens. However, Darmanin said it will no longer be possible to become French if you are not the child of a French parent. In other words, the attraction for people illegally immigrating to Mayotte has ended, as now, they have to be French citizens themselves to get French citizenship for their children born in Mayotte. Presently, France grants citizenship based on both parentage and birthplace. In other words, it offers citizenship to children born to French parents and also to those born on French soil. But now, the proposed constitutional amendment is anticipated to change this. However, the French Interior Minister assured this radical measure would be restricted to the Mayotte archipelago. But to make sense of what's happening, you have to understand Mayotte's status. Mayotte, positioned in the Indian Ocean between Madagascar and the eastern African coast, is an archipelago holding the official status of an overseas department and region of France. The classification of Mayotte as a French department is rooted in a sequence of historical and political occurrences. In 1841, France established control over Mayotte, along with the other islands of the Comoros archipelago, as a protectorate. Despite neighboring islands seeking independence from France, Mayotte chose to remain under French jurisdiction. Therefore, in 1974, Mayotte conducted a referendum to determine its political status, with most voters opting to maintain its affiliation as a French territory. Consequently, in 1976, Mayotte officially attained the status of an overseas department of France. Today, functioning as a French department, Mayotte abides by French laws and holds representation in the French National Assembly and Senate. It participates in the European Union and uses the euro as its currency. However, despite its integration as a French department, Mayotte preserves its unique cultural identity and traditions. In terms of citizenship in Mayotte, French law prevailed, offering automatic French citizenship at birth to individuals born in Mayotte. The same is true in France itself, where children born on French soil will automatically get French citizenship, no matter the nationality of their parents. Today, even though France has the same birth citizenship law, this law is being changed for Mayotte on French orders. So, why is birth citizenship being ended? France is citing the problem of immigration as the major reason behind ending birth citizenship, a problem that the residents of Mayotte argue has strained essential services like healthcare, housing, and education. In the capital city of Mamoudzou, hundreds of protesters greeted Darmanin and his team with chants of "Mayotte is angry," stressing the lack of basic amenities, including water shortages. Darmanin asserted that the measure would reduce the attractiveness of the archipelago for potential immigrants. According to France's National Institute of Statistics and Economic Studies, the 375 square kilometers island is home to approximately 310,000 people, although officials believe this figure is significantly underestimated. As per data, over 40% of Mayotte's residents survive on less than $172 monthly. On top of this, the immigrant influx adds to the already worsening conditions. Positioned just 70 kilometers from the Comoros Islands, Mayotte faces a substantial influx of migrants arriving in small boats, surpassing the migration issues faced by the UK across the Channel from France. The island's hospitals witness over 10,000 births annually, predominantly from Comoran mothers. Despite Mayotte's estimated population of 300,000, only half hold French passports. To lessen the problem, since mid-January, citizens' committees have erected roadblocks demanding stricter immigration controls to address associated crime. Various media houses report a unified call across Mayotte's political spectrum to end birth citizenship rights. Estelle Youssoufa, an MP from Mayotte, expresses concerns that failing to act will perpetually trap the island in its geographical challenges, burdening its residents with the struggles of the Comoros and Africa. The French Interior Minister asserts to heed the calls of the Mahorais, stating that abolishing the birth citizenships will reduce their appeal. Currently, most requests for regularization come from Comoran families of children born in Mayotte who gain French citizenship at birth. Some believe that revoking this right may calm migration pressures. Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Africa's geopolitics, economy, and changing landscape. Let's continue now. However, it remains uncertain if this scenario will come to fruition. For the left, it's not solely citizenship, but Mayotte's relatively higher standard of living that draws migrants. They warn that Mayotte's challenges could extend to mainland France. Moreover, the residence permits issued to foreigners in Mayotte are confined to the island and cannot be utilized to travel to mainland France. Protesters have demanded the abolition of this system. Darmanin disclosed that authorities would scrap this measure as part of the reform, a move applauded by some protesters. Despite being under French control since 1841, Mayotte is now a department of the Republic, theoretically subject to the same regulations as other regions in France. However, both left and right political factions interpret the reform differently. The left contends that it violates the Republican principle of universality and could result in citizenship based on racial origin, while the right argues that although changes are warranted for Mayotte, birthplace citizenship should be abandoned throughout France. But what has been the reaction to this proposal? The announcement has garnered backing from the far right, but has encountered opposition from socialists who assert that the principle of birthright citizenship is non-negotiable. Left-wing leaders are apprehensive that the constitutional amendment could establish a precedent, prompting the far right to pursue similar measures in mainland France. This revelation comes shortly after France's highest court struck down significant sections of a new immigration law aimed at tightening access to welfare benefits for foreigners and managing immigration, an issue of contention in the country. However, Emmanuel Macron is under fire for his proposal to restrict access to French nationality for individuals born to immigrant parents on the Indian Ocean island of Mayotte. The far right has welcomed the initiative, raising concerns that it infringes upon fundamental constitutional rights and calling for its nationwide implementation. On Monday, former far-right presidential candidate Eric Zemmour criticized the Mayotte measure as inadequate, advocating for its expansion across France. However, Boris Vallaud, leader of the Parti Socialiste's parliamentary group, voiced opposition to any alterations to the constitution, asserting the inviolability of the birthright citizenship principle. Aurélien Taché, a member of parliament representing the left-wing alliance NUPES, voiced apprehension that the proposed constitutional amendment might empower the far right to abolish birthright citizenship nationwide should they come into power. But how will this constitutional amendment be made? Even though France gets to decide laws in Mayotte, the government in France has to follow a proper channel for any constitutional amendment. Therefore, implementing the proposed change would necessitate either a referendum or a Congress, a process requiring approval from both houses of parliament and the endorsement of 3/5 of parliamentarians. Darmanin disclosed that the constitutional amendment would be tabled before the summer. Chances are that this constitutional amendment would receive majority consent, ending birth citizenship in Mayotte. From that point on, immigrants from other countries giving birth in Mayotte would not get French citizenship for their children. But it's less likely that the immigrant problem would be resolved for the people of Mayotte. Even though a major powerhouse behind this constitutional amendment is the natives of Mayotte, they don't know that they still have to struggle with the immigrant problem even after the amendment. As a result, France seems to be the one benefiting from such a change. What do you think? Has France made the right decision to end birth citizenship? Do you believe that this is a tactic to ensure France controls the African territory but does not give citizenship? In the comment section right below, let us know your thoughts on whether this decision benefits the natives of Mayotte. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: African politics, economy, and increasing power. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.
Tell us what you think in the comment section. Like and share the video, and subscribe so that you don't miss any of our African videos. It's the best way to support us.